Alright, let's dive into something that's equal parts fascinating and frustrating, the story of the Superconducting Super Collider, or the SSC. If you've never heard of it, buckle up, because this is one of those, what could have been moments in science history, that still leaves me scratching my head. Here's the hook. Buried beneath the fields of Texas is a 22.5-kilometer tunnel, a relic of what was supposed to be the world's most powerful particle collider. But it never saw a single experiment. Why? Well, that's where things get really interesting. First, let's set the stage. The SSC was conceived in the 1980s as America's answer to the big questions in particle physics. We're talking about smashing protons together at mind-boggling energies, 40 tera-electron volts to be precise, to uncover the secrets of matter itself. Personally, I think this was the kind of bold, moonshot project that defines an era. It wasn't just about building a bigger machine, it was about pushing the boundaries of human knowledge. But here's the thing, it was also a massive gamble, both scientifically and politically. What makes this really interesting is the scale of the ambition. The SSC wasn't just a particle collider, it was a statement. The US wanted to cement its leadership in physics, and this was the project to do it. But in my opinion, the sheer size and complexity of the SSC were both its greatest strengths and its fatal flaws. I mean, we're talking about a machine that required thousands of superconducting magnets cooled to near absolute zero, all housed in a tunnel longer than the circumference of Manhattan. It's awe-inspiring, but also, how could it not be a logistical nightmare? One thing that immediately stands out is the cost. Early estimates pegged the project at around $4.4 billion, but by the early 90s, that number had ballooned to over $11 billion. What many people don't realize is that this wasn't just about the magnets or the tunnels, it was about everything. Land purchases, detectors, operational costs, and even the cultural clash between scientists and government managers. If you take a step back and think about it, this was a project trying to balance cutting-edge science with bureaucratic oversight, and it's no wonder things got messy. From my perspective, the SSC's downfall wasn't just about money. It was about timing and politics. The early 90s were a tough time for federal budgets, with competing priorities like healthcare and defense. Congress started to question whether the SSC was worth the price tag, especially when international partners weren't stepping up as expected. India pledged some support, but Europe was already pouring resources into CERN, and Japan had its own priorities. This raises a deeper question. Could the SSC have survived if it had been a truly global collaboration from the start? A detail I find fascinating is that the SSC was supposed to find the Higgs boson, a particle that was still theoretical at the time. Spoiler alert, CERN's Large Hadron Collider eventually discovered it in 2012. But what if the SSC had been completed? Would we have found it decades earlier? Personally, I think the SSC's failure shifted the center of particle physics from the US to Europe, and that's a legacy we're still living with today. What this really suggests is that science is as much about politics and funding as it is about discovery. The SSC wasn't just a machine, it was a symbol of what happens when ambition outpaces practicality. And yet, there's something hauntingly beautiful about those empty tunnels beneath Texas. They're a reminder of what we could achieve if we had the will and the wallet to follow through. So here's my closing thought. The SSC might be a ghost of science past, but it's also a lesson for the future. Big, bold projects like this are risky, but they're also how we make breakthroughs. The question is, are we willing to take that risk again? Let me know what you think in the comments. Would the world be different if the SSC had been completed? Or was it just a pipe dream from the start?